All right, let's go. Let's go, man. Let's get into it. So, Chiefs fans, Patrick Mahomes fans, what's up, man? It's been a little bit. I had to get to some other stuff. I hope you guys enjoying the other content, but let's talk about one Mr. Patrick Mahomes, man. Now, something interesting came into my brain, right? I always thought Mahomes would never be the GOAT because the greatest player or the greatest quarterback of all time because he never beat Tom Brady, and Tom Brady has more rings than him. But I honestly think Patrick Mahomes has a great case and could be the GOAT when he retires. Hear me out. Let's talk about a few quarterbacks. Number one, I already said Mahomes is better than Peyton Manning. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, he puts up the same stats as Peyton Manning. He has multiple MVPs like Peyton Manning, and he's done more in his 2 Super Bowls than Peyton Manning's done throughout his whole playoff career. Let's be for real. When you look at Peyton Manning's 2 Super Bowls and you look at Patrick Mahomes' 2 Super Bowls, there's no comparison. Mahomes was a contributing factor to those teams. Peyton Manning, we all know in 2015, got dragged by Von Miller in that defense. In 2006, let's be for real, he almost lost to Rex Grossman. He almost lost to Rex Grossman in the Bears. Shout out to my boy Valley. He's a Bears fan. Michael, Jonath, and all them boys. They could probably tell you all about that Super Bowl. Like, if they had anybody besides Rex Grossman behind center, they probably would have won that Super Bowl. But I already think he's better than Peyton Manning. Mahomes is going to put up at least 4,000 yards. He's going to put up at least between 35 to 40 touchdowns a year. He's going to have the same amount of, maybe even more stats than Peyton Manning. So we got that cleared. Let's move on to Joe Montana. Now, Joe Montana is an interesting one because Joe Montana played in the era in the 80s where you were allowed to literally pick up receivers, slam them on the ground, and then wait for the ball to come to you and intercept the ball. A la ask Mel Blunt. Or ask somebody on that 49ers team, Ronnie Lott. So when it comes to Joe Montana, you really can't look at the stats. But when you look at Joe Montana's Super Bowl history, dude's like 14-0 touchdown to interception ratio. He's 4-0. He played amazing in all 4 Super Bowls. He took the Chiefs to an AFC Championship game. Ironically, the same Chiefs to the AFC Championship game. So when it comes to Joe, you can't really look at stats. But what I will say is Mahomes puts up the stats. He has the MVPs. And he's probably going to have the same amount of Super Bowls as a Joe Montana. The guy already has 2. He already has 2. And within a 5-year stretch. I mean, technically 6 if you want to count his rookie year. But his rookie year, he didn't play. He was sitting behind Alex Smith. Look, listen. You can't put him above Montana right now. But we all know he's going to surpass Montana. If he gets past Montana's stats, which is not that hard. Mahomes has 24,000 yards. Montana has 35,000 yards, which once again, he played in the 80s, where in the 90s, where you were allowed to slam guys on their head. So you really can't look at that. But at the same time, we can all assume that he's going to pass Joe Montana. We can all assume that. Even though Mahomes is 2-1 in the Super Bowl, it is what it is. It is what it is. I think he can literally pass Joe Montana on the simple fact that Mahomes is, he's just greater than Montana. I'm sorry. He's just greater than Montana. But I will say this. Mahomes has a chance to be number 2 right behind the man that we're going to talk about after this. So, and I have Montana 2 right behind Brady. And speaking of Brady, let's talk about it. I know people are going to say Brady, he has 83,000 yards, massive number of touchdowns, So, Brady's just intangibly just the greatest quarterback of all time. But I will say this. I think Mahomes can surpass Brady if and only if. I don't think he'll get 7 Super Bowls like Brady. But if Mahomes can get 5, maybe 6, I'll say to the 4 to 6 range, right? If he can get 4 to 6 And honestly, this is far-fetched. This is extremely far-fetched. But with the dynasty, the Chiefs have, because the Chiefs are the new Patriots. I'm gonna be making a video about that soon, too, Chiefs fans. Because the Chiefs are new Patriots. If Mahomes can four-peat, if he cannot three-peat, four-peat, I think that puts him right on the level of Brady. Because not only will he have not done something Brady's never done, he's done something Peyton Manning's never done. Let's go to other sports. He's done something he's never done what Michael Jordan never four-peated. If Patrick Mahomes can four-peat, and I got the idea from Chronicles of Judah because, he brought up a good point. Like, he needs to do something that Brady and Montana have never done. And that's maybe four-peat. But also, let's be for real. People have Michael Jordan. People have guys like, LeBron James as the greatest players of all time. Bill Russell has more rings than them. But Bill Russell kind of reminds me of Tom Brady, where it's like, he doesn't put up the flashy stats. But you know what? He has so much intangibles and such a team player that he wins a lot. I think Mahomes has a chance to be the Michael Jordan to Tom Brady's Bill Russell. Now, granted, if you want to say Bill Russell's the GOAT, that's your prerogative. There's data and stats to show that. And I'm not talking about the stats of, he only put up 15 points. Well, this is a bad football video. But anyways, I think Mahomes could be the Michael Jordan to Bill Russell, because once again, what Mahomes has over Brady is that he's so flashy. He puts up the numbers. He puts up the MVPs. And not only that, he also wins. Now, will he win 7 Super Bowls like Tom Brady? Most likely not. But Mahomes' presence on the field is so, unexplainable. It's not you have to, Mahomes is one of, he's kind of like the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James, or the Kobe Bryants, or maybe the Peyton Mannings or the Aaron Rodgers, or Dan Marino's, where you actually have to watch him to understand how great he is. Brady has that, but just not the flash of the guys I just said. You know what I'm saying? Brady's more like, he's cerebral. He's kind of like a Tim Duncan. He's kind of like a Bill Russell. You know what I'm saying? He's cerebral. He's Nikola Jokic. Speaking of, current players that we're talking about now. Where, his presence, he's a great player. He maxes out on all the intangibles, but he just doesn't have that presence about him. Maybe towards the end of his career he did, but throughout the majority of, Brady didn't really start getting that presence until maybe when he beat the Falcons. Because everybody kind of looked at Brady in the 2000s. Everybody looked at him as a system quarterback. Even in the early 2010s, people were saying, Brady hasn't won since 2004 against the Eagles. Is he a flash in the pan? Is he really great? People were even saying Peyton Manning was better than him. It wasn't until he came back down 28-3 from the Falcons. That's when people started saying, Brady started having that mystique. But that's what in a 6-year stretch. Brady's played 20. He's played 23 years because he came in 2000, retired in 2023 or 2022, whatever the case may be. So that's 6 years out of 22 where he's had that presence about him. Mahomes already has that presence about him. When you see Mahomes on the field, it doesn't matter. Go ask Bills fans. Go ask Cincinnati Bengals fans. Go ask Eagle fans. Go ask 49er fans. Go ask anybody in that division. Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders. Mahomes just has that presence about him where he's just an unstoppable force. He's going to bring the intensity. If you don't match that intensity, if you don't match those intangibles and put up the numbers he's putting up and be flashy and willing to do all the stuff that he's doing, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. But that's where I think Mahomes could be the GOAT, the greatest player, the greatest quarterback of all time, or the greatest player in NFL history. The simple fact he puts up the numbers, has the achievements, he's flashy, and also, honestly, the Chiefs have a real chance of four-peating. Besides the simple fact that the AFC is so stacked, and we already have the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, shows how great Mahomes is. For real, I'm not saying they will win the Super Bowl, but it wouldn't shock me because if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, they're smacking anybody who comes out the NFC. Niners, done. Eagles, done. Well, I don't know. The Eagles, That Super Bowl rematch might be crazy. Cowboys, forget about it. I love my Giants, but no, we're not beating Mahomes. That's really it in the AFC. Those are only competition in the NFC. Seattle, no one cares about you, but anyways, man, that's my thoughts. What are yours? What is your thoughts on Patrick Mahomes, and what's your thoughts on my take on he will be the GOAT when he retires if he does the things I just named, and my analysts of all the other quarterbacks? But yeah, man, RJ out.